Thank you. Okay, so if as we go through this, if I forget to mark your name, please let us know. Let's just review our norms that will start and end on time. Keep yourself muted unless you're speaking. There is a lot of weather in Montana, so if you need to turn off your camera in order to have internet, that is understandable. It may happen to one of us. Let's be flexible, ask clarifying questions, refrain from side chats and multitasking if you can, and honor opinions and thoughts different from our own today. Should do this on the slideshow. Sorry about that. So today's outcomes, a quick review for clarity of the officially updated chapter 63 and 54, I believe. Things and announcement and preliminary information on the home-based learning program that is up for approval from the Board of Education. Yay. We will do a data survey trial and give a few more updates, and then we'll have time for any questions that you guys have brought to us. And how exciting. So this is our agenda. Welcome and celebrations. There's a new tool in Google Slides, so you can put a Giphy in there. So let's go around, if we will. I'm going to stop sharing because I want to be able to see you and share a recent win or positive experience that you've had. It's May. We're going to dig. So let's have Joellen start. We haven't heard from you in a while, Joellen.
I'm working on it. Okay. Oh, maybe my camera better be off. Here, I'll try to turn around. Less light. Is that better?
Fine. Perfect.
You can still tell I'm home with a cold, can't you? Let's see. Positives. I'm sorry about the long silence, but we just dismissed our principal. Our building isn't built yet, and they're putting everything on pause until we figure out what's going on. So positive. Me. I'm still carrying the project. How's that?
Hey, a pause can be positive. It's sometimes you have to do that to move in the right direction.
We're in a big rethink stage.
It's better than arrested development. I'll agree.
Sorry about that.
You get to pick the next person.
Oh, goody, goody. Who am I going to start on? Let's see, my random. I got Jill. Hi, Jill.
Hi there. Hi. I'm assuming this is introduction time. I apologize. I popped in
We're
a little
supposed to
late.
say a win or something positive that's happening with our work here.
Or anything you'd like to share.
Okay, I do have a win. I do have a win, and it might lead to some further questions later today in our conversation. So we had an opportunity to Jody and I did to visit with our Head Start Association. They're having their springtime retreat. And I heard a lot of really positive things about the work that they're doing. One of the things that they mentioned was working really collaboratively with early intervention providers locally. So I felt like that was a win. It was not my win, but I got to be a part of it and bask in it. So I was super excited about that. I work for the HHS in the Early Childhood Services Bureau, and I'm happy to be a part of this group. Let's see, Allison, have you introduced?
No, but I can go ahead. So my win for this week is, so we're in finals week right now and wrapping things up. And the last 2 days I've hosted our graduate students who are doing their early childhood comprehensive exams as their last step to graduation in addition to coursework. And we have 5 early childhood master's students graduating. They all passed, and it's really exciting. 4 of them are the first of a cohort of graduate students who are teaching in tribal communities across the state, both in Head Start, early Head Start, and also elementary schools. And so it's really exciting to see them finish and wrap up. And I just am thinking back to when they all started. So it's great. And the other win that I'm quite excited for is that they're all coming to Missoula for graduation, because it's an online program. So I'm just really excited to see all of them in person and see them walk in their caps and gowns.
Who's next, Allison?
I will pick, let's go, Amanda.
Hello, everybody. Good to see you all. I think my win is, I'll just stick with the early collaborative. We got our STAR testing done, the early lit, for every single one of our kids last week. And every single kid in one category or another is scoring under 50%. So, you know, we have something that we can prove. I have a great little spreadsheet that shows it all. And we learned some really interesting information about the kids doing the online stuff, and then just some conversations with them that we're really excited about these 17 little kiddos. So, yeah, so looks like we're going to all qualify, really qualify, because they need it in some area or another. So, looks great. Yeah. Pick Marie. I see you up there in the corner, so I'll pick you.
Sounds good. Thank you. Well, it's funny when you're like so excited that kids are qualifying so that they get these services. It's like, yes, they don't know enough, so we can get them there now. I would just say our win is like we're starting to really feel like this is happening. Like we hear all you schools like contacting Jackie and Kim, like, hey, I had kids that qualify. We're ready for the next steps, and just hearing that it's really like becoming a part of what we do. So nice to hear that schools feel confident to move forward. So with that, I will kick to Whitney.
I'm gonna try to show you this. Can you can see, right? So, oh, I'm a little sad actually. Sorry. So I wasn't gonna cry. Oh, it went away. Shoot. Now you might see my face crying. Sorry. These are my little TK kids. So, oh, so embarrassing. Anyway, I am obviously not teaching TK next year because it doesn't exist. So for a long time at our school, we've had what's called Kindergarten Writing Club, and another teacher started it. And then after they left, I took it over. And then for a while I taught 4th grade. So I did it as an after school club. Well, this would be like the last year that I could run it, right? So all my little kids in my class wrote their own books. Anyway, these are their books, and then they get sent to the high school, and we have a big celebration. And the high school students, they read the books and they give them an award, and they kind of like edit them, and we talk about like beginning, middle, and end, and we talk about like character development and that kind of stuff, conflict and stuff in the story. So all my students, they finished all their books, they illustrated their books, and so we're gonna go have our celebration in a couple weeks at the high school, and they're so excited that like big kids are reading their books, and like they're like, oh, that's the main characters. They've been talking so much more about, you know, just like authors and understanding how that works. And so it's really exciting and a little sad. Anyway, okay, whoever, I can't see someone. Jackie, I picked Jackie. And I'm gonna turn my camera off so you don't see me ugly cry. Okay, thanks.
I think so. Well, I've experienced lots of wins, but specifically today, I was in a conversation, and I feel like the win comes that Kim and I are ahead of the game on something, because I was in a conversation, and like Marie said, a lot of schools are finding many kids are qualifying for this. And the next question is, now what do we do with them, right? What do we teach them? What curriculum? You know, a lot of schools are like, well, so then what do you recommend next? And Kim and I have been working on some of that. And of course, there's a wealth of knowledge and information from our partners out there as far as professional development. And it's the answer is probably not one curriculum. It isn't. And so I just felt like, you know, you feel good that you've spent your time developing something that people want next. So that's what I'll share. And so I'm picking Kimberly.
Well, I guess my win will be, and you'll see some of this later, and I'll find out if it truly was a win or not, but I've been working hard on developing these surveys to send out for our data collection. So I'm gonna have you guys test drive some of it. So I've learned how to do a lot of different types of questions, and so I'm hoping that you guys can help me in terms of guiding, hey, this is working, this isn't, or if you have ideas for what might work better. Open for all that feedback. So just, that's what I've been working on. Let's see, how about Lucy?
I'm sorry. I'm staying off camera because I'm not feeling great, but I wanted to listen in because I couldn't make it last month. So I'm just excited that I'm able to make it. And let's see, my win for this week was a really productive meeting with the Language Development Advisory Committee for the House Bill 619 yesterday. And they're working on, let's see, milestones and assessments and family resources. So that we're hoping to keep on track and be ready to share all of that. And some of it might apply to this group as well. So thanks. Oh, let's see. And I can't remember who didn't go. Was it Joellen or Caitlin?
Caitlin and Wade are left to share.
Okay, Caitlin, I'll call on you, or Wade, or whoever would like to go next.
I can go next. I'm sorry, my camera is still not working, and I'm leaving this district in a few weeks. And so our tech person has told me that I'm not his priority. Jackie, you know who that is. So
Were you ever?
I don't think I've ever been his priority. He's a very nice person. I think our win, it goes back to April because we're only 8 days into May, but we had our kindergarten roundup a couple weeks ago, and we had some great success there. We had the Peli administered, and we have some little smarties coming into our next kindergarten class. So that is a huge win. Our current kindergartners are also, every single one of them has improved drastically over the school year with their abilities in reading and literacy. And we have, out of 10 kids, we have 6 in the blue and 3 in the green on our dibbles. And today we found out that every single one of our first grade students reached a blue level in their MAPS assessment for, this is for math. So yes, really big deal. We're super celebrating around here. Oh, and I'll go to Wade.
Oh.
Sorry, Wade.
I'm sorry, I came late to the conversation. What are we're celebrating everything? Is that what we're celebrating?
I want you to share a recent win or positive experience that you've had. It doesn't have to be related to this work. You pick.
Ah,
Now you tell me it didn't have to be related to this work. Thanks, Jackie.
well, you know, I received a new position this year, so I'm gearing up to make a move across the state to enjoy that part. And so I'm gearing up, getting things ready to go, and selling things here in Glasgow, and getting ready to move over to Cut Bank. I'm going to go past Shelby because they lost their roof on their high school yesterday. So I'm going to go past there, and hopefully our roofs at Cut Bank are pretty solid.
Yeah, that's my alma mater, and that was a fun little, for Cut Bank to be, they must have a stronger waterproofing on their roof is all I can say, because
Yes.
it's not less windy.
No, I know. We went there just to look for houses and stayed in our camper, and the wind was shaking the camper just a little bit.
Well, thanks for sharing that. We wish you luck in your
Thank
move.
you.
Corner to corner.
Yeah.
So next on our agenda is to talk about the Chapter 63. And I'm going to share again, but I'm going to share off of our how do I want to do this? I'm just thinking. I will think out loud and share my screen. Okay. So we do have official and posted roles in ARM. So the Chapter 63 Early Childhood Education Standards, the Board of Public Education had the Advisory Council go through and suggested amendments that worked with the new legislation and some other things. We don't need to go deep into them. I know we've looked at them, but you'll notice on this slide that the development of communication, language, and literacy skills support the growth in all other domains of development. And I thought that was key for us to just chew on for a bit, because we probably get a lot of questions. Well, why is all the focus on literacy, or why are we just doing this, and so on and so forth. And that was, I believe, new. And I think that that's the best answer that I could come up with that I would give somebody, and then maybe, follow up. Notice that the public preschool programs and early literacy targeted interventions would follow the new revisions. And then I'll just show you, for those of you who haven't looked, when you are searching for it, this is what it looks like. This will come up. It's all official now, updated on, I believe, April 13th. So everything in there is new, and you can roll out with that. Then there were also some changes regarding early literacy targeted intervention in Chapter 53 for general provisions. And those have to do with the evaluation methodology and the Jumpstart framework. And those can be viewed the same way if you are looking to find those. We will, I don't know if we've updated the link on our website, but we will link those too. That's where schools will need to look to find this information. And they certainly can call us. That is the Jumpstart. So that covers those new updates. And next, Marie.
Oh, come on. There we go. My mute wasn't wanting to go off. Yeah, so tomorrow I'll share screen really quick. Can I steal from you just so you can see? This is what is public knowledge really quick for Board of Public Ed. It is not formally approved until they make action. I believe I'm on all day the next 2 days, so it's one of these 2 days. But you'll see in their summary, and I can drop the link to their board packet, that the recommendation will be for Waterford Research Institute to take on the home-based learning program. Within the Board of Public Ed document, you'll also see the scoring that the committee went through. And Jackie, Kim, and I were all able to sit on that scoring committee, as well as Doug Riesig and Karen Filipovich. I'm going to say that wrong, even though I played some Cascade batters with that last name way back in the day. But it was a really great process to go through, and they really hit the mark on a lot of the things that we wanted and excelled in a lot of ways too. They even proposed some matching funds so that we made sure to hit the $1,000 cap that legislation put into that. So if you want to read through this fun little thing, this packet this month is 618 pages, and no one wants to read all that, but about 500 of those are my pages. But really excited about what they're bringing for our families and what we've asked them to bring. Also that the only hesitation I had with all of it, which will involve schools, is that they're not ready to implement until September 2024. But that's okay. Like all of you administrators for the most part, hopefully are on less than a 260 contract where you're not all working in that first week of July anyways, but we will be posting soon how that process will look to apply for the license. And I don't want to take anyone else's components of the next on the agenda here, but upon approval, that will be the winner for the home-based learning collaborative. One question I do have of our district folks is if anyone is planning on offering it right now, and what those questions are that are coming toward you when it comes to home-based learning, just so we can have a background knowledge. Whitney, Caitlin, have you guys heard anything on the school side of things?
We're just starting with only early literacy as a jump start.
Classroom?
Yeah, because we had a 4-year-old program, so we just wanted to try to adapt that, see how it worked before we added any of the other new things.
Okay.
So no,
Okay.
I don't have any info about either of the other ones, sorry.
Okay, no, that's just fine. Yeah. And I know Caitlin's transitioning here too. So yeah, so we will come out with
Sorry.
Go ahead, I said. No, you unmuted. Go.
If somebody's already using Waterford, will there be any what's the word, preference or anything like that, or it's all just random? And did we decide on whether there would be some allocation for Class C versus Class A, or how that might work?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we're gonna have it's gonna have a timestamp, and we're gonna have them submit by their school demographics, and then we're gonna work out an algorithm for equity based on those different class sizes. So that's one really large district doesn't take all 1,500 licenses, because that's totally possible. So in terms of what it will look from the district side, we will have everyone submit. We'll send it out with a July 1 opening date, and then we'll do our data processes on the outside, and we'll let you know within, I think, 3 weeks. July 1 is just really not a great time to ask school to do things, including us, because we never take time off, but that's usually the 1 week that our staff takes time off, including myself. So we'll get that with the September start date. We'll have that to everyone before the first week of August, so that we can start having schools communicate with Waterford and us making sure we have, if they're awarded, the information to get everything spread out to everyone. Does that answer that question to the most part?
Yes, it absolutely does. And that's awesome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect. Yeah. All right. Any other questions about Waterford? I know Jackie dropped in the link to that. I think there's a lot of experience with it in Montana. So
if you have access to the slides, there are a lot of links in there. I'll share it out again for you to review. I would note, I think I shared with Caitlin, but so when you go to Waterford, they now have, I didn't know about this, maybe you do, but there is a lot of professional development in there for possibly staff members. I sent it to a few teachers who are going into the lower elementary for the first time. So I think going into that website may, open some opportunities. It's all free. And so a quality video based on research that takes somebody just an hour of their time is a great way to get some training out to your staff and friends. Don't forget your friends. But so then next on the agenda, oops. It's hard when you're the sharer. Is the data survey trial. So I'll hand things over to Kim and stop sharing.
Well, okay.
I'm not sharing, so perfect.
You're not sharing. Do you want me to share that? I mean, I was just going to put the links in, but I can walk them through. If you want me to screen share, I can screen share.
sorry, why don't we just put the links in there and take 15 minutes? And hopefully you guys can go through that. Does that sound like too much time or not enough?
So what
Um,
why don't you explain what we're asking him to do, Kim?
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
yeah,
sorry.
that's where I was
Forgot-
kind of
we did
going
talk
with
about
that
it
slide
earlier.
there.
So,
I can share if you need me to, Jackie.
no, I will share.
Okay.
You know,
I'm looking at it over here, but I'm like, my participants don't know what I'm looking at.
here we go, kids.
Okay.
Strappy.
So Marie just talked about the first little snippet here, that's on the data collection schedule. So looking for information, about the home-based, eligibility. We're going to send that out July 1st, as she said, and then, that'll be first come, first serve. And so we are going to be working on, one of the questions will be, built around the class size of the district so that we can distribute them equitably. So today what we're going to do is, I have some previews of this data collection, but you can actually fill it out. We will be posting previews on the website, but we don't want, this will just be like a visual representation of what the survey looks like. We're not going to be looking for, people to be filling it out just yet. If they're getting the information off the website, we don't want that. So just to let you know, data collection number 1, we're gonna send that out at the beginning of August, looking for it to be returned back to the OPI by the 30th of August. And then data collection number 2 is, that'll be sent out. We're gonna have that preview on the website, but obviously that is end of year information that we're looking at collecting. So we just want to be transparent and make sure that everyone knows what we're looking for them to be gathering throughout the school year. And then we will be sending that out June 2025, and wanting it to be returned back by the 27th of June of 2025. So that data collection will just be based on what they've been working on throughout the year. So this first data collection will be all about the eligibility of students who qualified, and the evaluation methodologies that were used, and the information about how districts qualified students to participate in it. And then the kind of end of that survey is all talking about the efficacy of the Jumpstart. So that's why we're not sending it out until August, because everyone should hopefully be finished with their Jumpstart program at that point in time. And we feel like that would be a great time to capture that information instead of waiting until end of year next school year, when they're having to try and remember, oh, wait, what did I do last July? That's probably not fresh in their mind. So, and then data collection number 2 is all about, we're getting some information from parents. We're asking them about how things worked for their student, how they supported their student, if they feel like their student made some improvement in terms of literacy skills and how they interact. And then as far as the district goes, those questions that we have in there, we're asking them about either the classroom-based program and how that kind of went for them, if they had any challenges or anything that they want to let us know about, and anything that they feel they would change in the future to make it more effective. And then also the other part of that is the home-based. And so having a little bit of information on how they feel that went for their students. So those are the two large components of the data collection at this point in time. So I think, are there any questions on any of the data before I go ahead and drop those links in the chat for everyone? Is that pretty clear, or is anything confusing? No. Okay. I'm just looking at the people I can see, because if you're shaking your head and you're not on camera, I can't help you. Sorry. Okay. So let me just grab these. Okay, I'm gonna
And
put in.
You can just put superficial information in there.
Yes, we're
looking
not.
for feedback on the flow. You could just put an asterisk or anything like that.
Right.
If
If
the
there's
question makes
anything
sense. Yeah.
that you're like, wow, that was funky, that didn't work, then please let us know, because I would rather know now before we get this out to everyone.
So do you want us to provide like keep answering even if we're not doing those programs, so we'll get pushed through? Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do have requirements for some questions
Okay.
in there, and then in data collection number 1, just so you know, there's a really big chart in there that I'm still working on being able to gray sections out where I don't want people to put numbers. So that's kind of a work in progress. So you can go through and put numbers in now. It doesn't matter. It's not going to stop you from filling it out. I didn't put that as a required question because I thought that could be a nightmare at this point in time. Okay, so I'm dropping the link in right now for the first data collection. So that's data collection number 1. And then the next one I'll grab, and it's data collection number 2.
So let's take until 4:20. And see how that goes. If we all need another 5 minutes, just turn on your mic and say so. We'll be here.
And please feel free to take notes if you see something, so that when we come back together, I can take some notes and find out if there were any issues or anything that you think should be changed or altered.
Okay, we're just about at time. And then I'll answer Mandy's question. Mandy, right? I know you have Amanda, but Cedar calls you Mandy, so.
Either is great. I answer
Okay.
to both.
Sounds good. Yeah, so Mandy's question, and maybe Allison actually might be able to answer this, but I think we touched base a little bit about it at the last meeting too, on why Star Early Literacy was taken off. So we had like some subcommittees on the Board of Public Ed Advisory Council that narrowed those down. And at that time, like they didn't recall having those conversations, is what my understanding was. So it was removed because it wasn't part of that process. However, if a district checks the boxes that it says it meets the assurances, then we're collecting that information. Allison, do you remember? I know you did a heavy lift with looking at all those screeners.
I did, and I'm less familiar with STAR, but I remember it being on the original spreadsheet that I created, and I was not a part of the conversation for why it fell off, and so I'm not sure how to answer that.
Yeah.
Other than I do remember that it was originally on it.
I was going through the spreadsheet, like all my old emails during the break there, during work session there, and I was just like, man, I don't entirely. I think it was potentially just a clerical error, but also knowing that we would leave it open, and you're not the only district that's using it, because it does check the boxes that.
Because it is, I just to clarify, since Amanda, if you are using it, it is a tool that it was created specifically for 4-year-olds. It's not a kindergarten tool that was being used for 4-year-olds. That would be the only reason why I would think of it not being clear, but if that's the case, I don't know why it came off. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And we can bring that back to that advisory council to see, like, it says it has to be updated every 2 years, but if we have like quarter of our districts using it already, I think it would be an easy, quick, hey, let's get that back through there. So hopefully that helps answer. And I've done my own digging and to see if it checks those marks, and I'm not the official yes or no person, but it looks like it would meet the assurances.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right.
So in that, I just marked that we use STAR Early Literacy, and then I have my spreadsheet of the different early learning standards and all of those things. So hopefully we should be good to go.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So back to Kim to go through the survey.
All right. So, looking at data collection number 1, are there any things that kind of stood out to you guys that were maybe issues, or you think could have been, the form could have been created a little bit differently, or maybe something that wasn't very clear to you as you were filling it out? You can go ahead and come off mute or type it in the chat, however you want to give me the feedback. I'm just going to take some notes.
So wrote down, and I'm not sure how to explain what page I was on, but I know like on the table, it has all of the 3 prongs listed out there, and you can choose. It's got like the grades, like pre-K, kindergarten, first, second, third. I'm just wondering if for some districts that might be confusing if you're talking about, I don't know, like the Jumpstart program, but that's not for pre-K, or the classroom program, but that's not for like third grade.
So Caitlin, that's the chart I was referencing in the beginning with the instructions that I'm working on right now I was hoping to be able to get some of those boxes grayed out. So we're still working on that, so that if a student wasn't eligible for that program, then that box would be grayed out, but I'm still working on how to get that set up. So that might, if we can find out how that can be changed in that question, then we'll leave that table alone and we'll just gray out those certain boxes. If not, it might have to be something where I have to go back and rebuild that question. But that was the only question I wasn't able to get all of that.
Students coming in at that time, and maybe I missed when you said that. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. That's all right. Completely fine.
Good that you caught it, because we were having that, like, is this going to be confusing? So apparently it was. So good.
I had some feedback too, I guess, about a similar issue, just like wanting to be sure that if I'm only doing one program and not all the programs, that I can differentiate between that and decide what I need to fill out and what I don't. The other thing I wondered about is in that table, Kim, that you were just talking about, are there stop gaps that would help the user to not make errors? So for example, if I screened 5 kiddos, but I enrolled 15, would the system pick that up? Like the number you screen should be more than the number you actually enroll. Like, does the system pick that up to help people reduce errors? I don't know if it's that savvy, but I played around with that a little bit to see if it would pick some of that up. So I didn't know about that.
Yeah. It
Um,
won't at this point in time, but that is a good point. If we could set some sort of parameters for, making sure that we don't have more kids in the program than were screened, that's a good point.
I think if it can't pick it up, that would be something we would pick up and then call.
Right. Follow up.
Yeah, I love those things if they're possible, because it just saves everybody. I mean, it just saves everybody time, right? It keys into the user like, oh, I must have made a mistake here. Why am I getting this error message? The other thing I like the question about, were there problems? I mean, I think that it's good to get a little feedback about that and the way that you set it up, so that it wasn't like a narrative, like someone could just click and say, yep, I had a problem with this and that and the other thing. I thought that was really, I think that will be good data for you all to gather. So I think that's a good idea. I wondered about the wording on the question, that it confused me a little bit when I first started trying to respond to it. So I didn't write down the entire question, so I'm going to have problems. And then I thought, well, if I could try to figure out how to get there, I could talk about it maybe a little bit more. But anyway, that I just felt like the wording was a little confusing. And so I wondered about something like, I don't know, to what extent was this a challenge, and maybe the options having some different, because disagree and agree didn't seem to make sense in the question. So just that was something, but I do like the question. I think it will be helpful feedback ongoing. And then I wondered, because I made a mistake, if there was a way to go back, and there wasn't. So I'm filling it out and I was like, oh, I filled out this and I probably shouldn't have. And I wanted to go back as I was doing the survey to make that change, and I couldn't do that.
Okay.
I don't know if that's possible, but that might be helpful, because I felt like I wanted to play around a little bit more and go back, and couldn't do that before I submitted.
Okay. That's good. Good feedback. Anyone else with any concerns, Whitney?
I think mine kind of goes along with what Caitlin was saying, in her comment there about like, did not implement or not assessing at this time. Just like, well, my principal and I actually have a discrepancy on how, like, after you do the classroom-based program, how far along you keep continuing to assess those kids. And so when I got to the question, it was like, what was your methodology for after first grade? What was your methodology for after second grade, or prior to first grade, prior to second grade? Our school specifically will be using the same one, right? We're going to use Early Bird because we're going to purchase it, but there's some not clarification in our building between how long these kids in each program continue to be assessed. So like, we need clarification on that, not from the survey, but if a person doesn't need to continue assessing because they're only at classroom based, you know what I mean? Like, is there a way to say like not applicable or something, or just add another tab, or should they enter it in other, I don't know, sorry.
That's a really good question. So I'm wondering, like, this whole data collection is mostly for the efficacy piece. There will be enrollment questions on Infinite Campus. So if a student is no longer going to be screened, then, well, I don't know, you probably continue to screen every spring unless you're only offering classroom based, right?
Well, I mean, I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm wondering if we have to continue to show until they get to third grade, because they were in the classroom base, do we have to continue to show each year until they get to third grade?
Not if you don't have those programs, because
Oh,
what we
so-
will be able to collect is when they get to standardized test years, third grade, in their
Okay.
enrollment through Infinite Campus or whatever your SIS is, we will be able to pull and track those kiddos. And then it would be anonymized based on if they're at grade level proficiency. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so then I think if people are only implementing classroom based, at some point there needs to be a place where they can click that they're not going to, like, they're not going to use the tool for
Yeah.
the
Versus,
next
yeah.
grades. And then also, I think this is similar information. I don't remember which one it's on, but there's one that said like how many enrolled, it might be the second one, but how many enrolled remain eligible, but no one enrolled in the classroom-based program will remain eligible age-wise. They can only do it the year before kindergarten, right?
Well,
So
they can,
their score shows it, they're not eligible by age, right?
so the distinction would be they're still eligible for early literacy targeted interventions, but your school is not offering one of those past the classroom.
Okay, so I think maybe clarify, because I was thinking, oh, well, even if our kids do not make growth, like we'll have to say they're not eligible. Because
No, they would still, yeah.
Okay, so
So-
maybe just add words in there saying for an early literacy intervention beyond classroom-based or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
So
That makes
correct
sense.
me if I'm wrong, but I do believe you're screening these kids that you're gonna offer a classroom program. Next spring, you will want to screen them again because then they're going into kindergarten, right? So
Yeah.
you'll have that data. Did they make growth?
No, yeah, yes, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying, but at our school, even if they didn't make growth, if we're only offering classroom-based, they
Right.
won't be eligible. So I wasn't sure how we should answer it, because they'd be too old. So they're not allowed to go. Well, I guess technically they'd be eligible.
think
they would
you're-
get funding. I don't know. I just wanted to maybe clarification for people.
Allison might have some.
I won't be filling it
Whitney,
out.
they could be eligible for a summer jumpstart program.
Yes, but I'm saying if a
the
district's not
home-based.
offering it.
Yeah, or a home base. Yeah. So I mean, but
Right.
still, but I know that there's, I think what you're just saying is the distinction of your school currently is not going to be offering those additional programs other than the 4-year-old classroom-based option. But in the future, they could, your district could potentially elect to
Right.
start
Oh,
running
yeah.
those. And so by marking that those children are eligible, it just indicates that if you were operating those programs, you would have had eligible children, I guess, in that way. I think that's the data point.
But so it's marked it based specifically on their data, no other. Okay, great.
Yeah.
That was my question.
I think
Which
at the
really-
district level, school level, district level, and the state level, it would behoove us to know how many kids are eligible, yet their school is unable to offer the program.
No, I also think so. Yeah,
I'm sure
And
the
maybe it's-
legislature wants to know that,
yeah.
but yeah.
But maybe the verbiage like meets or met exit criteria, but I feel nervous bringing in new language like that versus okay, I see Allison. I was like, oh, I can see
Well-
what
The
you
word
mean.
criteria, yeah, the criteria that suggests like
Yeah.
a
Yeah, no.
different type of tone.
Yep, I
Well,
don't
because
mean that
really
with
what
evaluation.
it comes back to is that we want to be able to show if what we're doing is working, right? So if they're still eligible, then maybe something's not working versus if they're not eligible, then they're making growth. I mean, I know that's a stretch, but
Well,
I
then
think
maybe
that's
just
kind of what
even
we're
adding like, how many enrolled students remain eligible for any of the early literacy programs or something, just adding that on. So schools that are filling out that aren't coming to this meeting know, okay, yeah, they still fit the qualifications, but our school's not offering it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I think so. The question in here is how many enrolled students remain eligible for the program? So that's just early targeted literacy interventions program, right? We're not saying, even though it is under that section of classroom based, we're just asking the question, are they still eligible for the program?
Okay.
I don't know.
So we'll need to clarify that.
Yep.
They're still eligible for the intervention, but the school is not offering any of the programs. So we need to be able to pull that
So
information.
instead of program, maybe it's just is still eligible for early literacy targeted interventions and just
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
So on my bubble diagram, I'm seeing this little branch with a bubble in it. Okay. What about the schools that do the screening but aren't going to be providing the program this next year? Okay. So we screened our kids. We see we have kids eligible. We're not going to be providing this year due to various situations. Does the state still want information that that school district has kids that would qualify? We just simply don't have a program.
I think that's great data to have because that's showing that there's a need, but we're not addressing the need at this point in time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we might pull it from certain like data evaluation
Mhm.
analysis components, but
I think I do know, Joellen, of many schools who did screen, but are not planning on implementing this year. But they're collecting that data to show their school board and community that there is a need to accept this opportunity, I suppose.
Okay.
Would districts be prompted to fill out the screening tool if they're not offering any of the intervention?
Yeah, that's kind of part of the question too. Yes. Will we get a prompt to fill out that screener even though we don't have a program up and running?
great.
Or would they
question.
know to?
Yeah, that's a great question. We'll bring to our data governance team too, because we want to be careful. Like, I think it'd be great information. We might want to have a separate, like, non-participating so we can collect the information, but I don't want it to skew what we're reporting to the legislature on.
Right.
We'll get a prompt from
Good
Infinite
question.
Campus that will say this school is showing that they have an eligible student or students. So we'll be looking to see that they did the
don't-
date. No.
Yeah. Well,
And
how would
I
you
want
get a
them to
prompt
put it on
campus?
Infinite Campus if
No,
they're
'cause
not
that child
actually
wouldn't be
doing
enrolled.
programming. No,
Oh, because they wouldn't enroll them.
no.
I was wrong.
So I just
Yeah.
have to send you a piece of legal paper with the numbers on it through the mail?
No, don't do that. That'll get
That's
lost.
a great, let us talk with our team and see how we want to collect that, because I don't want it to mess up any of our data, but I really want to know at the same time.
Yeah, because I would think the state would
Yeah.
want to know there is a need, but there's a reason
Yep.
why we can't provide that program in
Yep.
these might be very rural
Yeah.
areas like we are.
Yep.
Well, even
Okay.
ours is kind of dependent, like, because our levy didn't pass, so then it might affect if we can pay for the staffing, right? So we're currently moving forward, assuming that we get to have our program, but our levy did not pass last night. So we have kids eligible, like we have qualifying data, like we have, but maybe it's not gonna happen, you know what I mean? But we have like a system for delivering it. We have a screener that we are happy with, you know what I mean? So I think it is probably gonna be useful to you guys, even if it doesn't get implemented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll bring it back to make sure that we're collecting. I want to collect all of it, but we have to collect it in the right way so it doesn't mess up the other data. Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
And it's a sad day around the state with a lot of those levies not going through.
Okay,
Everyone needs chocolate.
Were there any other, so we've kind of gone over, I think people were looking at number 1 and number 2 at the same time. So are there any other questions or comments about the surveys at this time that you want to note?
Sorry, if we're talking about 1 and 2, then I just wanted to say that on the second one,
Okay.
one of the challenges funding wasn't listed. On the first one, funding was listed as a challenge, but on the second one, funding wasn't listed as a choice. And that would be our school's like issue with it. We won't be able to fund it. So I think maybe just add that so it's on both surveys. I think it's on the one, it said, I have noted not listed as a challenge for the classroom based. I can't remember the question, but it will be funding for our school. So we need to check it if it doesn't work. Yeah.
Okay.
Kim, I
Anyone
noticed
go
through like they were parents and look at the parent questions, because I wanted to like Kim and Jackie did a good job having like parent friendly language, but especially Allison, as I think of your developmental, like what the first question is, did they talk more? And that was intentionally like kind of vague. So it was like from a parent's point of view versus do they have 17% increase on their oral vocabulary?
I noted.
That sort of thing is great for Chat GPT to, if you take your questions, you put it in there and you say, write this at a level of, a fourth grader.
parent.
That's really
Oh,
nice. Mhm.
yeah,
Or for
we
a parent, like
can't-
it really is a great feature. Yeah.
We can't use that at the state, but we could use other resources.
Okay, there you go. So,
You can use it personally and paste it in. Kim, I just noticed, I went in as a parent and it asked you to list your district. And I
Darn.
think we probably need those drop downs in there because
Yeah.
surprisingly, a lot of parents might not know what to put, especially in a bigger district with several schools. We might need to.
So I
reconsider.
pulled that out. I had it as a drop down for their county and their district, but I can build that back in.
I
that
just
double down?
know, I know a lot of parents that just that information doesn't come quickly to them. They might know my kid's at Mountain View School. But they might not. They might just put Red Lodge, which is fine, but yeah, I don't know. We can toss that around, but that was the only thing I noticed in the parent track.
I
Okay.
think a drop down is key. I'll tell you, I made a mistake on a statewide survey last year where I didn't have a drop down for counties and folks just wrote it in. And when I went to export like 600 data entries and then organize them and sort them, it was impossible because like it doesn't account for misspellings, capitalizations, and I had to go in
That's a
one
good
by
point.
one. So it took hours.
Oh no,
Yeah.
thanks Allison for the input. I don't want to have to do that.
No.
All the Metalark, Lincoln, what are the other ones that they
Yeah.
There's lots of them out there.
And so, is there any more comment on the data surveys? Thank you guys for putting some time into
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
Are there then new questions or questions that you've brought to us from the field that were not answered today or have not yet been answered in our months together?
I have a question about the home-based option. How many applications were there? How many options were reviewed prior to the voting on Waterford? Oh, okay, got it.
One
Okay,
submission.
I'm not, okay. Thank you.
Yep.
It's not
We
that we
can't say
only
that, it's
reviewed
on the
one,
note.
it's just that's.
Okay, I understand. I know that context, so got it.
Yep,
Okay.
no, that's a perfect question. Yep, we can say that. I can't say a lot about it. It surprised me. It's a very
Yeah. Yeah.
we could talk to each other about it, which is good. Like if we had multiple, then there's no bias in it, so it was great.
I have a question. Oh,
ahead.
sorry, Jackie.
No, go ahead.
I know maybe I dreamt this because my brain is getting mushier and mushier by the day, but I think we had talked at one point in time about the possibility of having like co-op or like community practice groups or groups that could come together and kind of brainstorm and work. I'm just wondering, like, what has the progress been on that work? And then, yeah, I know that with the Head Start Association, when I met with them, that was one thing that they were saying, like, would it be possible if those co-ops are picking up, to know where they are so that there could potentially be some cooperation or some collaboration between Head Starts and those groups to just be informed about, which school districts are doing these programs and to what extent.
So Kim and I have in progress. It's not on paper yet, it's right here. But we do have a plan to launch a community of practice for those working in early literacy following Summer Institute.
Okay.
Because we're doing a presentation and, we feel like between our work here and those who have filled out the survey and then everybody we get at Summer Institute, we can get a good, get the message out and kind of see what would work. In our work with 0 to 5 or the Reading League, we have said, we will be coming to them, to the experts, Allison, to share in those community of practices, and hopefully the topics will be guided by those who are coming to
Right.
learn. And so more information on that will come out.
Okay.
I'll
The
just
other-
add,
Go ahead.
sorry, I was just gonna add, right now, we don't formally know what districts are doing it until we have our formal data collection. So our first round of that would be data collection number 1 in August. We have an informal, like us trying to make sure we have everything, but I
Sure.
don't even know if Bozeman's completed that survey, but they're doing sessions with the Reading League, so we know they're doing it. It's kind of hard until we have those formal processes that are actually rolling out. So, and some of them might have a plan like Joel in school, and then they might back out, unfortunately. So, yeah, great question though, and we'll try to, I don't know, we could send a million surveys, but we're still not going to get the right people to answer them at the right time. It's funny, if the wind blows the right direction, we might get them, but
I
Don't
did,
talk about the wind, Marie.
Yeah,
I'm
really.
on the high line. I get it more than
I did
I-
put out a request today, and I'll share this with Allison too. Schools are wondering about specific PD for the preschool age teacher, the person who is doing this early literacy classroom. And so, perhaps we could, share out some information on that through whatever chains we have. That's been one question that's come. Allison, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna share, I wish I could, that my timeline was 6 months ago, like it started 6 months ago, but the Institute, what our goal for this year and a huge uplift over the summer is to build out content on a new website that we have that will be published at the beginning of June. And that's gonna have a learning library in it, along with things like a model, like 3D models of classroom spaces and how to set those up that are interactive with, video modeling clips and other resources. So really trying to build up PD around, with an initial focus around uplifting your classroom, and then followed by the intentional use of those spaces with that lens, knowing, that early literacy, among other things, of course, because as you started, I appreciate one of your first slides is how that connects with and across those other domains. And when we have that, then it's because it'll be, the idea is that it's set up as an open access resource that we'll add some things to showcase, some model examples, but it'll also be a place where we can showcase other schools in the community, or other programs can be on there as well too. And it can be like, while we at the Institute might use it for some formal training webinars or whatnot, it's also available for other folks to use and embed within kind of their own PD or as needed. And so as that happens, this folks on this call and other people that in a long list of emails that I have will send out surveyors, opportunity for feedback, and just a place for folks to say things that they would like to see and need and use. So that's a plan that we have to help support in that area too. I will also say, just because you were talking about kind of creating communities of practices, I would love to know kind of what y'all are thinking about doing with that. And mostly is just thinking about what's happening here in Missoula. We have been doing a partnership with one of our local school districts. Next year, MCPS is going to have 9 to 10, so one 4-year-old literacy classroom-based program in every single elementary school. It sounds like, I heard that today, it's going to the school board. And Hellgate District's going to have 2. And so we're doing shared professional development with all of those teachers over the summer, and setting up every 6 weeks throughout the school year a local community of practice in that sense too. So it would be great to connect with what y'all are thinking, so it's just consistent and aligned with stuff across the state too.
Amanda.
So Allison, I think that'd be great to send out to all of Missoula County or Western Montana, like if
Yeah.
there are other districts that want to join MCPS and Hellgate. I would put I'd put Clinton in the ring for, if you need a mentor teacher, if you need a site to visit, we would welcome any school district in. We will be in year 4 of our program that has been extremely successful at a small rural school. We redid our entire annex to make that a place for those kiddos and those kinds of things. And I have a teacher that has 17 years of experience in early childhood that, I mean, she has a program that with 24 crazy little kids this year is running smoothly because she knows what she's doing. And she's happy to network or be there to support newer people. We just need to get the word out that,
Yeah.
this is happening. MCPS and Hellgate, they reached out to you guys probably right away or vice versa. So they're bigger districts that know where to go and get that extra.
We happen to have a grant with them. That's why that's the
Got you.
case.
Okay,
Yeah.
got you.
So
That
we've
that
been
makes
funding
sense.
their launching of programs. That's why.
Got
Yeah.
you.
But
Oh,
Amanda,
okay.
that's awesome to know. And I think like for this very reason exactly, if you'd be willing to feature, images and videos and things of your space and some interviews with teachers, like those are the sorts of things that we're wanting to put on this website so that it comes directly and showcases what's the good work that's happening across communities. And that's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. And yes. Okay. So just add us there. We're happy to help and no grant things like that. Little districts love that kind of stuff as well. So anywhere they can jump in and be a part of those things would be very helpful to them.
Did drop in the chat while you guys were going because they updated it from when I had it and reloaded it. So our new hub team, they're creating bundles on the hub with different core pieces. So you'll see there's 5 different ones right now, and they created a bundle especially for maybe you have someone that's more strong in the development, like early childhood components, but needs some more literacy background. So there's a bundle of 12 PDUs right there that have all been updated to align with Science of Reading through our literacy grants. And then we will have 3 more courses also coming out here within the month on dyslexia instruction and how to support those students, which of course we know would also really help with the early literacy component. So those will be up here soon too.
So yeah, and there has been a bit of an uptick on enrollment in those classes because those are the main things that I have been recommending to superintendents when they call with, what's next? What do I do? How do I, so it's good to know that there are people who are at least curious enough to look and enroll. So, and yeah, are there any more questions? I know, Jill, you did ask about how do we let our partners know what schools are offering. That's a great question. We're not sure because we don't know yet either, but
Sure.
I do think it's important over the time. I hope that we can develop these partnerships strongly so that we can, the purpose of this is that we're serving kids. And that everybody who's serving kids knows where to send them for the next thing that they need.
Well, and I think, Jackie, it kind of bled into the next thing that the group was talking about around professional development. I think that there could potentially be partnerships within local areas, right, with people who have been serving 4-year-olds, either in Head Start or in childcare, that might be able to support with like room setup or like things that might be unclear. So I also want to just say that like if there's any courses that we could highlight on childcaretraining.org, many of those courses are free. We also have a number of courses that are housed within our early childhood project at Montana State. We have 2 really good pyramid model courses. If anyone's interested in learning more about pyramid model, like we do have some courses, and I would be more than happy to offer what we have, and you guys could maybe highlight those things that you think make sense.
I think that'd be great. Yeah, send those Jackie and Kim's way, and we can put together a repository of resources and courses. Would be wonderful.
Yeah,
there's
quite a, yeah, I just know when you were saying, Jackie, like that at Waterford has some, vignettes, some video vignettes and things like that.
Yeah.
The Head Start website has a ton of video vignettes around best practice and how to meet certain standards. So I think there's some resources too that we could offer, and you guys could vet them and kind of pick and choose what you think districts might need, because obviously they're not going to need everything that we're
Right.
offering for childcare, but there could be some particular courses that might be helpful.
Yeah. No, I think that's I hope that we get there sooner rather than later. I think also there's been a request for a community of practice for just leaders. I know that the Montana Reading League is doing, that's sort of what they're doing, a community of practice for leaders, but their live attendance is not very big. And I know that her videos are watched far and wide. So yeah, and I think the hub is also looking for anybody who wishes to create classes and courses for the hub. It's a relatively easy way to help with that. And so if you're interested, if you're something to share, it can be something as small as not a big, early literacy umbrella, but just, 5 steps for early decoding. Simple things that the teachers have time to jump on and do that. And that tomorrow they can do something in their practice related to it. So
The literacy
yeah, go
grant did open, and we do have the intent to apply, submitted. However, like the whole grant writing process, we're in the throes of it with a few others. So it did open, in case you were wondering. We finally found out, and we're starting to work on a plan there. And yeah, there's some great components that were built into the CLSD grant.
Marie,
cycle,
I am having
so.
a party right now that you said that. I have been wondering, I almost called Rachel today. That is so exciting.
Yeah, it is a little bit different, the guidelines compared to the last one, but some really strong opportunities, I think, in there for collaboration too. So yeah,
You
Great to
say
hear.
early literacy or just literacy
just the
grant?
literacy grants, the CLSD, the
Just like
MCLSDP grant.
MCL.
Where do we find
It opened
information that
federally.
opened?
What? It opened
Okay.
federally. Finally opened federally. That's why, yeah. So we
Take a
as
breath,
state
Amanda.
have to. I know. I'm like, don't worry. So we as a state are now working on the application.
Oh,
To
well,
get it
best of
for
luck
us.
with that. And thank you so much for doing that for
Yeah.
the state of Montana. It's just been such an impactful grant for Clinton
Oh.
School that we've been waiting, hoping that it's going to
No.
open, that we can try to
Yeah.
run. We've already got a plan of what we need it for the next step. So we're hoping that it opens up.
So it's
okay.
open for us. And then
Got you.
if and when we win it, we will let you know. You'll be on the list.
When you win it, that is exactly
when
right,
we
Marie.
win
Thank
it.
you so
Yes.
much.
You've given us
Of
the
course.
money.
Yes.
Give us the money.
Yep.
Well, I think this has been very positive. Please flood our inbox with ideas or classes or questions. It's been very positive. The schools that are getting through with their screenings, I had one school just be adamant that it wasn't going to be effective to assess 4-year-olds, and that there's no way this was going to work, and blah, blah, blah. And 100% of the students that they screened qualified with their screener's cut point. No changes, no nothing. And I didn't want to be right. I was just happy so that I could share that story with other schools. So good to know. If there's nothing left to add, we can be finished 6 minutes early.
Thank you everyone for attending today and all the feedback that you gave and all the questions you asked. It was definitely helpful, and we appreciate you.
We appreciate you guys as well. It's nice that this is moving forward and happening for our kids in Montana. I just put that in the chat, but it's so important and our kids need it so much. So thank you guys for all your work too. We appreciate it.
I can help you with that question if you want to ask me right now. Oh, you're muted. If you have to go, that's fine.
I just feel bad because it probably doesn't affect everyone. So if you guys want to wrap up, I can
Yeah.
ask, or yeah.
Yeah, so you wanna, I have clarification, but it doesn't fix everything. So why don't you give me a particular scenario and I'll do my best to answer it.
Okay, so we have a family who has a kindergarten age student next year.